You know that feeling, right? That sense that there's something more inside you, something just waiting to be tapped into? Well, today we're going to explore that very idea. This concept that your potential isn't something you have to build from nothing, but something that's already there, just waiting for you to realize it.
And our inspiration for this reflection comes from the book, The Solution. We're going to be digging into its central theme, that our potential isn't some empty bucket we need to fill up. Instead, it's more like a hidden landscape that's already inside us, and our job is just to uncover it and let it grow.
So let's just pause on that for a second. If potential is already here, right now, inside of us, well, that changes the whole game, doesn't it? The work isn't about some frantic race to become someone else. It's all about where we choose to put our attention and the actions we take to let that inner capacity come to the surface. It's a process of unfolding, not of building.
To even begin that process of unfolding, we first have to get a handle on the material we're working with. So let's build our foundation by really exploring what human potential means according to our source.
Now, what's really powerful about this definition is what it says our potential isn't. It's not something locked in by our genes, our upbringing, or our past mistakes. Now, it's described as this expansive, almost limitless capacity for growth. That idea just completely reframes our relationship with the future, suggesting it's so much more open than we usually believe.
So when we hear a phrase like this, it's not some heavy command to go and become a totally different person. Think of it more like an invitation to become more fully yourself, to just close that gap between who you are right now and the person you are truly capable of being.
Okay, so this idea of limitless potential sounds great, but how do we make it tangible? How do we move from this big, abstract concept to something we can actually work on every day? Well, this next part is all about charting our own inner world by connecting our capacity to our daily aspirations.
And this is such a crucial point. If our potential is nearly limitless, then what's holding it back? The book suggests the biggest boundaries are actually internal. They're the limits of our own imagination and the strength of our belief in what's possible. It basically means the biggest barriers we face are often the ones we've built in our own minds. So how do we start to expand that imagination and strengthen that belief? The answer offered is simple, but it's really profound. We cultivate it day by day. It's kind of like tending a garden, right? You can't just force a seed to grow overnight, but with consistent, gentle attention, it's eventually going to flourish.
And this is a great breakdown of what turns a vague wish into a real force for change. An effective aspiration isn't just, I want to be better. No, it has to be specific. It needs to be emotionally compelling. You have to feel it. It has to be anchored in your values, not what somebody else expects of you. And critically, it's got to be backed up by a real, actionable plan.
All right, so once we've mapped out our inner world with those clear aspirations, the next step is to engage with the world outside, and specifically to go right to the edge of our current abilities, because that's where the real growth happens. I really love this comparison because it highlights such a huge shift in perspective. On one hand, you've got perceived limitations. You know, those mental walls we build from past experiences and what society tells us. But then you have this idea of permeable boundaries. It suggests those walls aren't as solid as we think. And by simply asking, hey, is this limitation really true? We might find out those boundaries are more like curtains we can just push aside. This path shows us that realizing our potential isn't some random accident. It's a system. It all starts with a mindset of always wanting to improve. From there, you set clear goals so you know what you're aiming for. Then comes the hard part, consistent effort, especially on the days it feels tough. And finally, you have to be open to feedback so you can adjust your strategy. It's this continuous, dynamic loop of growth. But, of course, any system needs fuel. And without sustained inspiration, even the best plans are going to fall apart. This is a great reminder that the why behind what we're doing is just as important as the how. Now let's get into a really fascinating and maybe even a little counterintuitive idea. After all this talk about action, aspiration, and challenging ourselves, we're going to turn to the power of stepping back, the strategic wisdom of non-engagement. This is such an important question to ask ourselves. Our culture, it seems, rewards constant action and nonstop problem solving. But is that always the most effective way to go? Is it always the wisest approach? And here's the key. This isn't about avoidance or denial. Strategic non-engagement is a conscious, deliberate choice. It's about recognizing that our attention is a finite and very precious resource. And sometimes the best use of that resource is to pull it away from a problem that doesn't need our help, or maybe one that will resolve itself better if we just let it be.
There's a real mature wisdom in this simple phrase. It's the art of knowing which battles you need to fight and which ones you can just let go of. It's about preserving your energy for what truly matters on your own path.
So as we bring all these ideas together, what's the ultimate takeaway? Well, it's not about reaching some final destination. It's really about a way of approaching the journey itself.
And this might be the most grounding insight of all. The path to realizing our potential isn't really about sudden, dramatic breakthroughs. It's about steadiness. It's about continuation, just showing up day after day and making that small, incremental progress. It's the compounding effect of that consistent effort over time that creates the most substantial and lasting change.
And so, we're left with a final, guiding question. If our potential truly unfolds through our attention and our actions, then the most important thing we can ask ourselves at any given moment is simply this: where's your attention flowing today?